Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome and welcome back. Today is Friday, April 25th, and we have a big message today. Now, 25 was actually reduces to a 7, which represents spiritual development, which is definitely what we're going to speak about today. And the angel number that came in today was 2525. And it reads as follows. It is a message from your guardian angels that you are understanding and undergoing a period of significant change, and that you need to be adaptable and embrace these changes. It also suggests that you are on the right path and that you have the support of your angels and God. Let the old go. Hello, welcome. So, we have been talking over the past few lives about the laws of the universe, universal laws of abundance and prosperity. We have also been talking about sacred geometry and why it is so important to understand these things. Now, the title of this teaching is The Words You Speak Over Your Life Command the Universe to Create It. And I mean that quite literally. So, to start from the top, the 12 laws of the universe dictate how we interact and create within the universe. And they dictate not only human beings, but all of creation and the way that they interact and exist in perfect harmony and complement each other. We have been talking about recently the flower of life as a symbol of sacred geometry. And that symbol looks like this. Now, before the flower of life came the seed. Now, why is sacred geometry important? Sacred geometry contains the codes and formulas for the creation of the entire universe. It exists in plain sight within nature, within the universe, within our cellular body. It is the pattern of creation. And when we can understand that, and the fact that we are made of it and creating within it, we can focus our creation and manifest what we desire instead of what we do not. Which brings me back to the title of this video, which is The Words You Speak Over Your Life Command the Universe to Create It. And I mean that word for word as the truth and absolute. Every word that you speak is creating. Every lyric of a song that you sing along to is creating. You are in fact commanding that creation with your voice and your words and your energy, which is why it is critical to understand and be mindful about what you are speaking. Okay, now, so we spoke about the seed of life just a moment ago. So the seed of life okay, come here. Come here, please. Okay. The seed of life is a geometric figure made up of 7 overlapping circles of the same size, symbolizing creation and interconnectedness in the universe. It is often associated with sacred geometry and represents the building blocks of existence and the 7 days of creation, which is spoken about in many different religious texts. Okay. Now, from the seed develops to the flower. I put that on here, didn't I? Nope, I sure didn't. Did I? Nope, I sure didn't. Okay, one moment. I forgot one paper. That'll work. That'll work. Okay. So, the flower of life is a sacred geometric symbol composed of overlapping circles, 19 of them, all of equal size, meticulously arranged so that the center of each circle is on the edge of 6 other circles. Often interpreted as representing creation, interconnectedness, and the foundational and fundamental patterns of the universe. It is the blueprint. It's found in various ancient cultures and is associated with spiritual practices like meditation and healing. Okay. Very powerful. After the flower, comes the fruit of life. And it looks like this. So it is the seed of life with additional circles within it. The fruit of life, an intriguing symbol embedded in ancient wisdom and sacred geometry, consists of 13 overlapping circles. This symbol, also recognized as core of creation. Let me move my hands. Okay? Represents the foundational structures of the universe, often described as the Holy of Holies within sacred geometry. This network of information sits within the larger flower of life and contains all 5 Platonic solids, as well as being a vital component of Metatron's cube. Now, as a side, what are Platonic solids? Platonic solids are 3-dimensional shapes with identical, regular, polygonal faces and the same number of faces meeting at each vertex. There are exactly 5 types: tetrahedron, cube, octahedron, dodecahedron, and icosahedron. Okay? This potent symbol, the fruit of life, a foundational geometric structure that we can also call the essence of life, is considered a blueprint of the cosmos. It originates from the flower of life and contains the essence of all matter, from the smallest atoms to complex life forms. Indeed, it holds within it the keys to understanding existence. Okay? And I have a whole thing on the fruit of life, but in the interest of time, we're going to do this slightly differently. This is another depiction of the fruit of life. And interestingly enough, so is this. Now, you may recognize this symbol. This is the symbol for the throat chakra. What does that mean? That means that the fruit of life that contains the blueprint and ability to create the entire universe, everything in it, is contained within your throat chakra. Your words command the universe. Quite simply. Fruit of life and the throat chakra. The clockwork nature of time is held in the throat chakra. This story is revealed in the geometry of the fruit of life matrix by adding a ring of 18 and 24 circles to the flower of life. The first ring of 18 circles represents an 18-year Saros cycle, when the sun, moon, and earth return to the same relative location to repeat a solar or lunar eclipse. 18 years. The measurement of transition from youth to adult. Interesting. Where was I? This cycle helped ancient astronomers predict the time and location of the sun and moon as they began to measure time and space. A SAR is a 9-year period between a lunar and solar eclipse. The second ring of 24 circles represents the 24 hours in one day, or one rotation of Earth on its axis. A day is defined by two 12-hour periods, AM, ante meridiem, and PM, post meridiem. By adding these rings of 18 and 24 circles with the 19 circles of the flower of life, a total of 60 interlocking circles surrounds the central one. This correlates to 60 minutes in 1 hour or 60 seconds in 1 minute. So, again, flower of life that is within the throat chakra. Okay? That literally contains time. Our measurement of time. Our measurement of years to adulthood. Our hours of the day or rotation of the earth. And our 60 minutes in 1 hour and 60 seconds in 1 minute. The actual fruit of life pattern is revealed by focusing on the 13 independent circles within the 61 circles. Together, these 13 circles represent a 13-week cycle, which is the approximate number of weeks within the 4 seasons of spring, summer, fall, and winter. When you multiply 13 weeks by 4 seasons, it equates to a 52-week year. Literally, this whole time. The sacred geometry within the fruit of life inspired the creation of calendars, clocks, or calendars and clocks, rather, which brought order into everyday life. As farming communities grew, temple towns were created, and the nature of time was known only by temple priests and priestesses as a way to control the people and enforce laws. As patriarchy grew, men associated themselves with the solar world of the sun as keepers of the seed. Women were associated with the lunar world of the moon as keepers of the mystery. The fruit of life reveals the wisdom of time. Time is relative to how we perceive it. Some see it as an illusion or as a mathematical construct. Others believe it to be the proof of divine order. In reality, time is timeless. Earth spins on its axis as it orbits the Sun every 365.25 days. The Moon is revealed by the Sun's light as it orbits every 29.5 days. Earth's tilted axis determines the days when the seasons begin and end. It's time to rethink and reset as we prepare for change. Become aware of our surroundings and identify what needs to shift in order to move forward. We are encouraged to share our stories with others as we shift into this new reality. Interesting that was part of the article. Why is that? Well, we live on Earth in the third dimension currently. This is where we've been, and this is what we are currently in, but towards the end of this consciousness level. 3D is going to refer to the third chakra, or the solar plexus, which has been the predominant energy and consciousness of the Earth for quite some time. Now, within the solar chakra, we have both positive and negative attributes or characteristics. But this is where the energy of the Sun, the Christ force, or the masculine force, exists. It is our confidence or our insecurity. It is our power or disempowerment. It is domination or harmonizing. You see where I'm going with this. Potentially, it can be powerful and protective, or it can be incredibly destructive, depending upon every individual. Now, the heart chakra is the fourth chakra. It represents the fourth dimension. And most people have been hearing information or talk about the Earth evolving to 5D, the fifth dimension, as a higher spiritual existence or time of existence. So, and this is correct, actually. What is happening is that we are moving from solar plexus, 3D, through the heart chakra to the 5D, throat chakra, that contains the energy, the force, to create the universe on command. We, as individuals and a collective, are speaking the fifth dimension into existence, or our experience of it. That is so powerful. So, it is vital that you become aware of what you are saying when you are speaking about yourself, about your family, your children, and other people in your reality. The Earth itself. the universe itself. Because it is being created. There is a reason why there is such thing as speech censorship or freedom of speech. Why is that important? Because we create, and on some level, we've always known this, that we create through what we say, what we speak. Now, government in and of itself is a desired configuration of reality. Government is basically a babysitter for individuals that have not evolved past adolescence, mentally and spiritually, that is. They need a parent to tell them what is right, what is wrong, where to go, what to say, how to sit, how to be, all of that. And because we are creating our worlds by the words that we speak, a parent is going to direct you to speak properly because it's important. It's not just good manners. It is vital to the creation of your life. Not only your life, but all that is in existence. Now, those who have developed properly or in alignment with the natural evolution of humanity, of an individual, of a collective, of the current time of consciousness, or you could say the natural wave of consciousness, does not require a parent or a government to tell them what they should or should not say. They understand the importance of their words. However, in the past, it was more understood about what was proper and appropriate to say. If we go even further back, we enter a time of ancient civilizations that were able to create these incredible structures. And we wonder how that happened. And maybe it was aliens, and maybe it was whatever. No. These were human beings that fully developed their power and understood that their words commanded the universe. And they were seen as gods to some degree. Leader, we can say, of a higher caliber. Now, that caliber of understanding, or that level of understanding and development, was not common. Therefore, to the average human, they appeared to be superior in many ways. And by a spiritual standard, they were, developmental standard, they were superior. And because we live in a universe of relativity and polarity, there was absolutely good and there was absolutely bad, because there has to be both. And we have to relate with both in order to understand ourselves. We are all different. And we understand that by comparing ourselves to our outside world and those in it, and realizing that we are different. Now, that's not bad. That is essential to understand that we are all different. We were created that way. And when we start to embrace and revere the differences between us, we become more and more in tune with our own gifts, our own energy, our own ability to develop that and speak the universe into creation. Creating in our world. That power sits here. And so in reality, there is no speech censorship. Okay? People, for the most part, not everyone, but for the most part, the ones that feel censored are aligning themselves with the average pathway of communication. And if they should experience a restriction, then they get upset. But the truth of the matter is, unless someone glues your lips shut, they cannot stop you from speaking. They may dictate certain avenues of social media and social presence and interaction, but they cannot stop you from speaking. Also, important to note that a lot of these younger generation that are screaming free speech are also regurgitating information that's actually incredibly destructive to themselves, along with everyone else. Not all, obviously, because we have both. That is the way it is. We have both. Now, how do we solve this issue? And to clarify, we are coming out of a dark age into the light, meaning that everything that existed during that period of time in the dark age existed with corruption. So there was not empowerment, there was domination through some form of deceptive behavior, and we were okay with it to a degree because it was a dark age. And the lines are a little blurry during a dark age on purpose. Dark ages teach us about these things. Now, as we move into a light age, all of the corruption becomes illuminated. Government structure that serves a positive purpose has been corrupted in many ways and in many areas. Now, that corruption is being illuminated, and we are seeing it currently all over the place. on purpose. Bad behavior is being illuminated. What does that teach us? Possibly that making decisions that harm another out of your own insecurity or perception of inferiority or disempowerment is only going to take you down in the long run. It is a far better plan to step into the light, to speak blessings, positivity, abundance over your life and everyone else's. To create for the betterment of all beings, not just yourself. It is in that act that we rise up to the fifth dimension, which is what we're doing. Now, it's also possible that not everyone will go. The ones that are very negative, very pessimistic, very toxic, very conditioned, very disempowered, will speak into their reality quite literally a living hell. All for the purpose of teaching. And of course, as with everything else, it is your choice. What you say and do is your choice. Your free will. Law number 8, law of perpetual transformation. Hold on. My brain, just give me a second. Transmutation, okay. The law of perpetual transmutation of energy. This is what I got last night. To understand this law, which is defined as that states that whatever you spend your time thinking about, dwelling on, whatever you worry about, will someday appear in physical form. It is the arrangement of particles because you've asked for it. It is a universal governance of energy. All energy in existence. Everything. Now, when understanding this law, we can think about the two most powerful configurations within the universe, which is a black hole and a black sun. And if you can envision in your mind what an electromagnetic field looks like, it comes out from the top and around and into the bottom, and out from the top and around and into the bottom. Looks a bit like a figure 8 now, doesn't it? Isn't that interesting? It's not a coincidence. And this is law number 8. Okay, so every human being has an electromagnetic field. At the base of that field is a black hole. At the top of that field, if we're looking at it vertically, is a black sun. The black hole is constantly pulling in, and nothing can escape it. It is too powerful to resist. You get close enough, you're going in. Our mind is like a black hole. And it's consuming our thoughts, okay, and our thinking of thoughts, action and noun. It's consuming it constantly. And we are actively thinking, we are actively taking action by thinking, okay? And we're feeding the black hole, which delivers it straight to the black sun, which creates it. Quite literally. That black sun is your will. And what thoughts go in will be done outside of you. It will happen. So if we are more cognizant and aware of our thoughts, then we will create positive outcomes in our reality. Now, your positive or negative thoughts, and this is still pertaining to law number 8, your positive or negative thoughts will sooner or later surface into your life regardless of whether you wanted to or not. Whatever you're feeding that black hole will be birthed into creation within your reality. It will happen. Now, higher vibrations always have the power to consume and transmute lower frequencies and vibrations. This is a major key to attracting what you really want. Therefore, if your thoughts are predominantly positive, and that is what you will create, even if you have fluctuations of doubt, worry, or fear. So, if your average is positive, is uplifting, is blessing, abundant, empowered thoughts, feelings, then that is what you create. Even if you have moments of doubt, even if you have moments of fear, moments of sadness, we are having a human experience. We are going through challenges and tribulations that will bring forward lower emotions, lower vibrations. It's okay. It's okay. We're not meant to stay there, though. We're meant to understand through feedback from our temple and implement that understanding and choose differently. Not choose the same thing and complain and complain and complain that we're not having a different outcome. That is insanity. I'm fairly certain that's the exact definition, actually. Okay? This is why rumination is condemnation. When you're ruminating, you're not doing it because you're just so happy. You ruminate on something because you are unsure. You are afraid that you have perceived it incorrectly. And so you're looking for mistakes. You're looking for flaws because you feel like there is one. And if you go over it long enough, you're going to find it. But it's down here. So you're ruminating down here. And when you're doing that, you're condemning yourself to that lower vibration, which will be created in your external world. Because you're doing it the majority of the time. This is why law of attraction teachings tell you that if you're constantly in a lower vibration or a lower frequency emotion or state, your external world is going to reflect it. And all you have to do is adjust yourself, your being, your words, your thoughts, and you will create differently. There is no restriction on what you can create in your life. There is no restriction on how much money you're allowed to have. There is no restriction on how much money and happiness and assets you're allowed to have. It is you that commands them into existence. If we're talking about wealth. It is you that commands lack of that, if that is what you believe or are experiencing or perceiving for yourself. It never works out for me, people say. It's going to go bad because it always goes bad. Well, you are in fact creating that reality, so you are in fact correct. That's not an opinion. Or a threat. It is a reality. So, to circle back, the law of attraction teachings may seem like some kind of airy-fairy understandings and practices, but they are in fact incredibly powerful. Number one, they are the practice of the individuals that have created, I'm hearing galaxies, the pyramids and the structures that exist from ancient civilizations. These people understood their own power and harnessed it. There is no barrier but your own mind. And your mind, for the record, is not bad or wrong. It is not broken. It is not useless or whatever other negative characteristic you could imply. Your mind is a magnet and an antenna. And it draws to it what it believes to be true. Evidence to prove that what it believes to be true is in fact true. And it tunes in to the surrounding field, which continues to reinforce that truth, which can be a very destructive truth, or it can be something incredibly spiritual, intellectual, developmentally progressive, etc. The point being, we absolutely have the power here to change all of the things that are going on, not just in our individual lives, but in the world at large, that are unpleasant. And our words are a really critical place to start. Absolutely critical for everyone to understand that what they speak shall be done. Now, I'm unclear as to the consequences of, comedy, because comedy is in fact a very high vibrational activity. And there is many flavors of satire. I happen to love comedy. I don't like stupid humor though. And I don't find morbid, violent things funny. I don't think that's funny. I think that's morbid and violent and unnecessary. That's just me. I think the truth, reality, is a lot funnier in many instances than illusion, and a lot more heart-centered as well. Okay, moving right along. There is a quote here from Plato that says, "Wise men speak because they have something to say. Fools speak because they have something to say," or no, let me start again. Wise men speak because they have something to say. Fools because they have to say something. One is purposeful and one is not. I don't know why that was so hard for me to get out. Anyhow, moving right along. I wanted to, at the end of all of that, bring it back to a more baseline understanding about what sacred geometry is. Okay? Sacred geometry is essentially the study of the spiritual meaning of various shapes. It can be applied to the forms, numbers, and patterns we see throughout the natural world. The spiral of a snail's shell, the captivating pattern of a single snowflake. Snowflakes are all different. Every single one is unique, much like human beings. Every single snowflake is a one-of-one creation. Same with humans. And we admire them and we accept that about them. We could learn something from nature, said like all the smartest people ever. Okay. The captivating pattern of a single snowflake and the branches of a tree can all be examples of sacred geometry. Sacred geometry is also thought to exist beyond the naked eye, both on a cellular level and in the stars and orbiting planets. The idea that the universe is an intricate equation dates as far back as ancient Egypt and Mesopotamian cultures. It received more attention centuries later in ancient Greece, popularized by philosophers like Pythagoras and Plato. Rooted in nature is the understanding that nothing is in isolation. Everything is interconnected. Everything is interconnected. The end of that was everything is connected. And the author of that quote is Gemma Foster, who wrote a book entitled Sacred Geometry: How to Use Cosmic Patterns to Power Your Life. So to wrap up this teaching, how to use sacred geometry Okay, that was an intense feeling. How to use sacred geometry to your benefit. Sacred geometry espouses the idea that everything is connected, and simply watching those patterns play out in our lives can be very comforting. Sacred geometry is all about the sense of natural alignment, which I think is very important to remember because we were literally made this way. It's more of an unlearning than a learning because it is within our very fabric. Our cells are organized in a fashion and manner to amplify this power. And every single one of us is 100% unique. Now, we are similar, yes, and we are all created, yes, but we are in fact unique. Even identical twins are unique, but they are the most similar out of the population at large. They actually struggle a lot with self-identity. Why is that? Because they're relating to each other and they are the same. And so because of that, they cannot understand themselves as an individual. They really don't identify as an individual. They identify as a pair. Their whole lives, most of them. The rest, into adulthood, typically, and then they can become very different. But relating is how we understand self, which is a very important principle or law to engage with consciously, intentionally, relating to others, learning about ourselves and about others with the understanding that we are different. We are not the same. We're not going to be the same. It is not one is right and one is wrong. It's one is expansive and inclusive, and one is destructive and isolating. To more actively introduce this principle of sacred geometry into your life, you can also work with sacred geometry talismans and symbols. The fruit of life. within the throat chakra. Powerful symbol here. Different patterns formed from sacred geometry offer focal points for meditative states such as mandalas and Siri yantras. To activate these states, you can wear sacred geometry symbols as jewelry or arrange your crystals in geometric patterns on a crystal grid. Now, there are many shapes in sacred geometry. And the one that I chose as the base, if you understand this and nothing else, is the circle. It represents infinite potential, as you've heard me say probably ad nauseum at this point, but that's okay. I really want you to get it. The circle or circles have seemingly no beginning or end, so they represent a never-ending loop. As such, circles in sacred geometry can be thought of as a symbol of oneness. The idea of this never-ending shape is demonstrable and observable in pi, or the ratio of the circumference of a circle to its diameter. So pi as in the mathematical formula. And in actual pi is also a circle. So a whole pi, that is. Where was I? Pi is an irrational number that goes on forever, never repeating. It's a continuous flow of energy. Once energy is created, it will go on forever. The universe is expanding on and on and on. There is an abundance of beautiful things that we can have and create. And the words that you speak over your life or that of your loved ones are creating those blessings, those miracles, or those tragedies. And so I'm asking, please, be mindful. Mindful. What are you feeding? What are you saying? What are you therefore creating? I hope that that was helpful. I hope that that was understandable. I'm wishing you all an amazing weekend. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.